As a brooding, mysterious, stoic vigilante, Bruce Wayne has drawn great fascination since his debut in 1939 during the comic book Golden Age. Over 70 years separate his earliest appearance from his latest installment, and in those 7 decades, Wayne's story has evolved into one of the most popular ever told. You know him as the Dark Knight, the Caped Crusader, Iron Abs McGee, and most notably, Batman. The good ol' Iron Abs Bat has had to deal with a lot of heartbreak in his life. Heartbreak that many believe has molded the calculating, reclusive hero we all see. With his enormous wealth, Wayne has the ability to use technology the world has never seen and combine it with highly polished combat skills. With these advantages at his side, the Dark Knight is free to sprinkle a pinch of his amazing man-boy Robin onto his muscled bosom. Such a lovely man-boy. As we traverse the broken road of Batman's life, it is immediately difficult to see why Bruce Wayne dumps so much time and money into the dangerous and seemingly futile task of protecting Gotham, especially because he doesn't kill. Batman leaves the world's most heinous criminals alive with every victory, alive to break free from prison and continue their quest for power, alive to threaten the populace of Gotham yet again. So what the hell? It's like he's just fighting for job security at this point. Come on, the economy's not that bad. Plus, he's got a few billion in the bank, collecting more interest in a day than I'll make in a year. Job security probably isn't the reason he doesn't kill then. Right, Bats? Clearly, he's a very logical, methodical fellow, executing elaborate plans, putting his life in danger while rarely cracking so much as a smile or showing an expression of fear. But is that all there is to Batman? It's odd. He appears so detached, yet can't bring himself to end the lives of truly horrible people. Quite the dichotomy. If only there was a story we could investigate. A story that explains why Batman is so cold like any would-be killer, yet refuses to end the lives of the world's most heinous criminals. Some kind of story which explains this bizarre disconnect. Some kind of story I didn't know. A story I never thought of. Oh, wait a minute! To start, I'll be focusing on the Arkham games and pulling from comics when need be. Batman's character varies slightly depending on author and medium, but his portrayal in the comic books and these latest video games is pretty consistent. So let's glide into Batman Arkham Asylum, the first installment in this awesome series. We begin with the Joker in captivity being wheeled into Arkham Asylum for a previous assault on Gotham City Hall. The Joker seems all too willing to be captured, and so Batman follows him inside to prepare for the worst. The Joker does indeed have a plan brewing, for after a long, foreboding walk into the heart of Arkham, Harley Quinn, the Joker's weird boner-inducing girlfriend, overtakes security and allows Mr. J to break free and take control of the prison. Beyond this crazy clown's entire army being conveniently locked in the very same prison he now controls, a smorgasbord of other villains also join him for this unfortunate slumber party. Scarecrow is one of the villains who brought his jams, and so does his evil part by infecting Batman with his fear venom. As Batman does his best to thwart these villains' power grab, he stumbles through the halls of Arkham Asylum on a hallucinogen that brings forth his greatest fears. Most notably, the things his parents may have thought of Bruce the night they were murdered. Murdered by a man named Joe Chill. Yup, Joe Chill. These fears take the form of 3 body bags, each containing some of Bruce's most inner demons.
Father, you should have stood up to him, son. Like a man. Mom?
Help us, Bruce! Don't let us die!
The 3rd body bag is hardly better. Yeah, fuck that. Batman then discovers that the Joker entered Arkham Asylum to get his crazy hands on Titan. a powerful drug which can turn an army of normal men into unstoppable monsters. I'm sure you can use your imagination to see what he'd do with that. Batman's demeanor in virtually every medium portrays a man with few, if any, emotions. At first, it seems this lack of emotion is what allows Batman to deal firsthand with the world's most heinous criminals. But this hallucination tells a different story. Hallucinogenic drugs are well known for thrusting their user into a volatile state of mind, where control over one's emotions and thought patterns is the difference between ecstasy and insanity. This fear venom uses that same idea, but rather than present the user with a blank slate of psychedelic experience, it specifically brings forth one's greatest fears in the most realistic of ways. Bruce's mother crying for help when he was helpless, Bruce's father doubting his manhood even though he was only a boy. Now that Bruce has shed his helplessness and ascended to manhood, Batman likely fears that he is still not good enough. Thanks to the venom, all of these long-dealt-with anxieties come roaring from the depths of Batman's mind. If he had truly spent his whole life ignoring and repressing these feelings towards his past, these visions would have left Batman quivering on the floor, unprepared for the demons he'd been smothering for so long. If Batman were really the apathetic, problem-solving, brooding he-beast that many see him as, these hallucinations would have torn the Dark Knight apart by thrusting him into a realm of long-suppressed emotions that he was ill-prepared for. So you may be wondering, what does this have to do with Batman's refusal to kill? If you imagine for a moment pointing a gun at one of the most vile men to ever exist, knowing that his death would be celebrated and likely lead to less death in the world, why wouldn't you do it? This act of violence would ensure a better future for all, wouldn't it? According to the lens through which Batman sees the world, it wouldn't. He can't bring himself to kill because this lens of his paints the Joker as a human being who has undergone immeasurable suffering. It paints all villains of Gotham this way. Take note of a scene from Batman issue 650 where Batman envisions taking the Joker, taking him and spending an entire month putting him through the most horrendous, mind-boggling forms of torture. All of it building to an end with him broken, butchered, and maimed, pleading, screaming in the worst kind of agony as he careens into a monstrous death. But if I do that, if I allow myself to go down into that place, I'll never come back. Hardly the words of a man who thinks only in logic and feels nothing. Batman deals with emotional demons every day. They tell him to kill. They tell him the Joker's life is worth nothing. The scum of Gotham are worth nothing. Yet these temptations are triumphed by Batman at every attempt, despite how powerful they may be. Now let's skip way over to the next game, Arkham City. This idea of Batman getting hit with crazy drugs and surreal attacks on his sanity persists. The Mad Hatter tricks Batman into injecting himself with a psychoactive control of sorts. Batman then wakes up at the creepiest tea party ever. But when the Mad Hatter attempts to exercise his control over Batman, this happens.
You are my soldier now, Batman. You will do everything I say. You will obey me, and me alone. No. This isn't right. You can't be doing this.
Once again, Batman resists the temptation to lose his sanity. He uses some kind of impenetrable mental fortitude to ward off this psychological attack by a creepy man while under the control of powerful drugs. Unfazed, he then proceeds to battle rabbit dudes on a clock hurtling through the 5th dimension or something as the Mad Hatter whispers sweet nothings in his ear.
Let all your troubles fade away.
If that isn't indicative of a man truly content with himself, I don't know what is. Most people would have lost it when they woke up at that goddamn tea party. Not Batman, though. He didn't let the Mad Hatter into his head at all, knowing damn well he would have become a crazy mass murderer under the control of this nut bucket, which has formed a connection in my mind. Batman's desire to kill, to give in to a new level of violence, is always deeply intertwined with insanity. Villains often try to get into Batman's head and make him murder someone. Pretty rude. Even Batman himself associates murder with losing his sanity. Remember that cheery comic I read to you? Seems to check out, Captain. With that in mind, let's skip backwards this time to the prequel and third game of the series, Arkham Origins. Just after Batman saved the Joker's life from a freak bazooka accident, the Joker is mystified that Batman would do such a thing. It completely blows his mind during a scene I wish I had time to talk about. This gives that crazy bastard an idea. He teams up with Bane, this muscly dude, and devises a plot that will force Batman to kill. This time without the use of drugs. Hey! Instead, the two supervillains attach a device to Bane's chest that charges a battery with every beat of his heart. Then, once the battery is fully charged, Joker dies of a powerful electric shock. Bruce Wayne is caught off guard by this elaborate scheme, struggling in a fight he can't win until he's struck with an idea. He can use the shock gloves I never told you about to temporarily stop Bane's heart and make it look like Bane is dead. The plan works, Joker leaves, and then Batman resuscitates the big fella. Crisis averted. I'm sure you get the point by now. Batman is well established in his emotional needs, enough to deal with firsthand a chronic sequence of temptations to lose his mind. Temptations to get crazy and give way to the mindset which these criminals have resolved themselves to. If Batman were truly emotionally dead, he wouldn't feel those powerful temptations to end these villains once and for all. And he certainly wouldn't have saved the man who just tried to kill him. Furthermore, those hallucinations would have crumbled his unprepared mind and given way to insanity. And insanity would have given way to the very same violent impulses which plague the scum of Gotham. Or left him twitching on the floor. Either or. The question that remains now is, how has Batman gotten to this point of logical and emotional prowess? He's calculating, intelligent, so much so that he creates and wields state-of-the-art technology while thwarting equally ingenious villains. But this emotional intelligence, if it really does exist, where did it come from? It hardly fits with a man who appears so alone and whose life has been filled with heartbreak. Well, Bruce has been molding his vision of the world for quite some time, performing the mental gymnastics necessary to embrace the hand he's been dealt. In 1986's comic, Batman: The Dark Knight Returns, a young Bruce is mugged by two street punks. Bruce pictures these aggressors as Joe Chill, the previously mentioned man who killed his parents, and this enrages him. So much so that the muggers back off, realizing this kid is pissed and he's gonna fight back. After they retreat, Wayne has a revelation that Chill did not kill his parents for the sake of doing it. He did it because he needed money. He wasn't evil, just desperate. This revelation knocked over the first domino that paved Bruce Wayne's road to recovery and acceptance. The city speaks to Batman and everyone in Gotham. With its violence and criminality, it communicates constantly an idea of insanity. It says to lose your mind, to descend into violence and animalistic impulses. This mindset of violent impulses is contagious, and so long as this mindset persists, killing an individual out of hate, or even many, will do nothing in the long run. Even if society killed all those labeled bad, society would be left with a good population for sure. But these good people which you've decided to preserve are now alone only because they themselves devolved into the mindset of rage, anger, and violence that they fought so hard to eliminate. Are they really better off now? Batman realizes this thanks to a man he met only once in a dark alley. The very not-so-chill guy who took his parents away. By understanding the subjective nature of life and embracing it, Batman sees Joe Chill not as the isolated, lifeless force we call evil. Rather, he sees all criminals and bad people as extensions of himself in a never-ending struggle to survive, doing the best they can with the hand they're dealt. They killed Bruce's parents because they were so desperate for money. They injected his mind with reality-shattering drugs and pushed him towards insanity because they were longing to tip the balance of power in their favor. They bred chaos that disemboweled, tortured, and murdered because they were so frantic to make him feel what they felt, just so he'd understand. By refusing to end the lives of these terrible criminals, Batman believes he can reach these people and help them end their own negative cycles rather than killing them and contributing to the grander cycle which caused these criminals to be criminals in the first place. Pretty introspective there, Batman. You teddy bear, you. Under that impeccable, masculine physique, there lives a man very much in touch with his sensitive side. Batman protects Gotham while refusing to kill, not only because he's a brilliant logical thinker, but because he's also very much a softie, a well-adjusted softie. And that's the story you never knew. No, 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 Batman! Batman! No, 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 Batman! 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 I'm Batman. You should really subscribe. I'm the protector of Gotham. I'm a black bat, the Dark Knight. You really need to subscribe. I'm Batman. And I've done a lot of good things for this Gotham. I'm Batman. Subscribe. I'm Batman.